Hey guys, so I've been reading a book, and I finished it, and it is this book. So, Asperger's Syndrome: A Guide for Parents and Professionals, by Tony Attwood, who is said to be the world leading expert on Asperger's syndrome and autism, which is funny because he's not even autistic. So I don't know how he could have more expertise than actual autistic people. But whatever. Yeah, I was reading this book and I came across something that I found very interesting. Yeah. So, because it applies to me very much. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. Where is it? Yeah, it was basically, it is in here somewhere. By the way, my mum first heard of autism through this guy. So she heard a radio broadcast or something, an audio conference with Tony Attwood, basically talking about Asperger's syndrome, how to recognize it, what it is. Like, he was pretty much explaining everything about Asperger's, and that's how the process of getting my diagnosis started, is when she came across this audio conference. Now, I'm going to be honest, I know that a lot of autistic people have some kind of, well, not a lot, but some autistic people or families or friends of autistic people have a kind of respect for Tony Attwood, or they like the first resource that they would look into is anything by Tony Attwood if they want to learn more about Asperger's. But I'm going to be honest, I don't really think much of this guy, like, I just don't think that he is the be-all and end-all in terms of information about Asperger's. And I don't even think half the stuff that he says is accurate. Alright, I found it. Because he's not even autistic, so I have, through other autistic people who have come into contact with Tony Attwood online, they have said how he's kind of discounted experiences that they have shared with him, or he's just found some way to undermine or to disregard what they have told him. So yeah, I don't really like that. But anyway, this is a list of, so this is an Australian scale for Asperger's syndrome. It's right here. Well, I know you can't see that, but it is a questionnaire designed to identify behaviours and abilities indicative of Asperger's syndrome. So this is actually used for kids, but I would imagine it can also be applied to adults, because despite what a lot of people say, you don't grow out of Asperger's or autism. Once you're diagnosed, And if you're autistic, then you're autistic, and you're always going to be autistic. So, although you can improve in some areas, it's always going to be a part of you. So I would think that this list can be used with adults and teenagers as well. So this is the behavior. No, each question or statement has a rating scale, with 0 as the ordinary level expected of a child of that age. Again, using this also for adults. But this is when they're expected to develop or have developed these abilities or these behaviors. So, a lack of understanding of how to play with other children. For example, unaware of the unwritten rules of social play. So there's a scale of 0 to 6, 0 being really, and then as you go along there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 being frequently. So, do they play with other children, or are they aware of unwritten rules of social play? Well, you know what? I don't understand. Like, I don't see why that is even important in play. Well, actually, of course there are going to be rules, because different things make different people comfortable and uncomfortable, and so I suppose in a way you would kind of have to consider that in a social context, or when children are playing together. So I suppose I can kind of see what that means, but what I don't understand is, why do children even need to play with other children? I don't really understand why there is such why that seems to be such an important factor in a child's development. I mean, it is important for people to learn how to socialize with other people, because this is a social world, and I suppose human beings are social creatures, but kids don't have to play together all the time, and I don't think there should be so much focus on making kids play together all the time, because some kids like to be on their own and they like to have their own space, and then other times maybe they'll want to join in and play with the other kids. I don't know, what's wrong with that? Can't you just have a balance of both? Yeah, I don't really think that children need to play together all the time. When free to play with other children, such as school lunchtime, does the child avoid social contact with them? For example, finds a secluded place or goes to the library. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with choosing to spend your lunch time in the library rather than playing? I don't know, man. These are stupid. I think these are stupid. Does the child avoid social contact with them? Just because you choose to, or you decide to go to the library rather than spend time with your peers, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're avoiding them. It just means that you're in the library and they're out mingling. You know, you just so happens that you have made a different choice. But you don't necessarily have to have... Like, you don't have to associate that with avoiding your peers. It's like it's saying, if you go to the library, then that automatically means that you're avoiding everyone else. Because who would possibly want to spend their free time in the library? Some people are just like that, you know. They like reading books. They like being on their own. That's stupid. You don't immediately avoid people because you are on your own. I don't even know if that makes sense. I don't know, I can't even think straight because that frustrates me so much. It makes no sense. Okay. Does the child appear unaware of social conventions or codes of conduct and make inappropriate actions and comments? For example, making a personal comment to someone, but the child seems unaware of how the comment could offend. Don't all kids do that though? Don't they? I don't know. I'm a bit kind of on the fence about that because it says here, conventions or codes of conduct. That's very vague and it's not very specific. Like, I'm 24 now and I still don't know conventions or codes of conduct because people don't ever talk about them. And so you're just expected to know all this shit that is completely like silent rules or stuff that people don't openly talk about, and yet they're expected to know. And I just think that's the most stupid thing ever. Or maybe I'm just stupid, I don't know. Man, that makes no sense. Or maybe I'm just missing something. Does the child lack empathy, i.e. the intuitive understanding of another person's feelings? Well, how are you supposed to know how other people feel? I mean, you're not that person. What, are you supposed to just transcend, like your body just kind of, I don't know, connects with someone else in a way that is just impossible? I don't get that. Intuitive understanding of another person's feelings. Even if it is intuition, even if you do have some kind of intuitive instinct about others, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're right. So what's the point? I mean, I actually do have a lot of intuition around people, or I do kind of feel certain things around people. But what I'm feeling and what that other person actually feels are not the same thing. Like, I could be making all these assumptions about how this person feels. Like, this... I don't even know... What am I trying to say? I could make assumptions about someone's emotional state, or their feelings, or their thoughts about something, whatever it is. And I could be completely wrong. So, I don't understand. I don't see the point in preempting someone's feelings. don't know if that makes sense. It's just, these are all stupid, you know, they don't make sense to me.